My name is Jonah Miller. I'm the chef and owner of Huertas, a Basque-inspired restaurant in the East Village. I'm going to take you back to the kitchen and we're going to make our saffron fried rice, one of the favorites of our guests. And when folks come in asking for paella, we serve them this dish, which is inspired by my time living in Madrid and eating at an underground Chinese restaurant there. Come on back. So as a Spanish restaurant, you can imagine guests come in, they want two things, sangria and paella. Those are two dishes that we actually have never served. Instead of sangria, we make our own vermouth and we have that on tap. So we make a tinta de verano with our red vermouth and a splash of soda. And with the paella, as you can see, we have a pretty small setup here in the kitchen. And to make paella properly, you have to cook it from start to finish without pausing. And that takes about 25 minutes, and you need a great big pan, so you have a thin layer of rice. You would only be able to make maybe 3 or 4 paellas at any given time for a restaurant with 85 seats or so. So instead, we serve a fried rice dish, and we cook the rice the day before with saffron, but we dry it out overnight. And we add shrimp and bacon, but we crust the bacon with pimenton before we smoke it, so it tastes a lot like chorizo, and pea leaves, and peas, and scrambled eggs. So when it comes to the table, it's sort of equal parts paella and great New York Chinese takeout. So here we go. A hot pan. I'm going to get one more pan down for our egg when the time comes. A bit of oil, and you want the pan to be nice and hot so that our rice doesn't stick. Assemble the other components. So, some blanched peas, and some shrimp that we've just gently poached, and a bit of our smoked bacon that's crusted with pimenton. And then finally, one of my favorite vegetables that you don't see outside of Chinese restaurants very often, but some pea leaves as well. So we'll set this aside. You can see our pan has started to smoke, which is a good sign. And as the rice begins to crisp, we'll scramble an egg. And everything here is already cooked or ready to eat, just needs to be warmed up. So we're going to allow it to kind of steam on top of the rice here. And you can see as I slide the pan, the rice is moving pretty freely because the pan was dripping hot when we added that rice in. A little bit of salt. Studying abroad in Spain, living in Madrid, as much as I like Spanish food, I began to get sick of eating the same sort of things every day, and this was about 15 years ago. It's much easier to find Mexican and Indian and American food in Madrid now, but eating the same delicious food, but the same food every day was foreign to me. A New Yorker, an American growing up eating 5 or 6 cuisines in any given week. After 3 or 4 months living in Madrid, I was turned on to a restaurant that's literally underground. I think they sadly might have just closed during the pandemic, but it was a Chinese restaurant under Plaza de España in the center of Madrid. I didn't have a car, but if you went down to this parking lot and you walked down an unmarked corridor, you found this Chinese place in Madrid. And they didn't serve this paella fried rice like we do, but that experience of dining at a Chinese restaurant in the center of Madrid is what inspired this dish here. So you can see now I've got actually a really great crust on the bottom of that rice, and that's mimicking or referencing the sopa wrap. So a great paella has a layer of rice at the bottom called the sopa wrap, which is crispy, and it's not quite as clean as this. It doesn't just fold off the pan. You kind of scrape it off the bottom, and if you've done a good job, everyone's sitting around the table, and they're all fighting for those last bits that are stuck there. So my eggs are just about cooked. My rice is crispy, and you can see this dish comes together pretty quickly, whereas paella would take 20 to 30 minutes start to finish. We don't want to compromise and par cook it. Sadly, the truth is, even in Spain, a lot of restaurants are par cooking, even microwaving paella, but that's not an approach that we wanted to take. So we're going to give this another little flip here. Taste it. I know maybe it's disconcerting to see cooks who taste food in an open kitchen like this, but it is always a good sign when you're dining out and you see the cooks tasting the food. The more often they taste the food, the better the restaurant. Alright, I'm going to add a little bit of salt. And as we come off the heat here, just a small splash of lemon. And then we're going to pick it up. So, slide onto the plate. And we finish it with a little bit of aioli, which is sometimes used to finish paella in Spain, especially if it's a arroz negra, black paella with squid ink. And that's it. So our saffron fried rice from Huertas. So, despite the fact that we don't serve sangria, we're thrilled anytime a guest comes in asking for it, because what we can offer instead or recommend is a tinta de verano, a red wine of summer. So we make our own vermouth in the basement, which is a traditional thing to do that is actually resurfaced in Spain as a big part of drinking culture there, is house vermouths. And we add a splash of soda, as you saw, a little bit of citric, so it's just zesty, fresh soda, and orange peel. And this is a very refreshing drink that, unlike sangria, most of our guests have not had before, and couldn't be more unique to Huertas. Huertas opened in the East Village in 2014. It's a neighborhood that I sort of discovered when I was in college. I grew up in the city, but didn't spend much time down here until I got a little older. And it's obviously a neighborhood that's a fantastic one to go out in, to drink, to eat, to see friends. But it's a challenging neighborhood to kind of earn the trust of the locals. So it took us a few years, but now 7 years in, we've got lots of fans who are coming for years, but also people who are discovering us for the first time. So it's always a pleasure to see someone who we've seen 25 times before, or also a guest coming for their first visit. We have food from Spain, but we're also putting a bit of a New York stamp on it. We understand very few of our guests are actually Spanish. They're New Yorkers, they're Americans. So we're trying to hit that perfect middle ground of authentic, traditional Spanish food, but with a little bit of a twist to it. We have a really exciting beverage program on tap, not just our own vermouth. We also have sherry and cider from Spain, gin and tonics. We make the tonic in-house and keg that, and a terrific happy hour with wine and beer and our famous boss dogs. We make a hot dog with a chistorra sausage and put that on a Martin's potato roll. Hopefully that's reason enough to come and check us out and give us a try. And I think in the 7+ years that we've been in the East Village, it's changed a lot less than some other neighborhoods has, but perhaps the biggest change has been outdoor dining, and obviously it's sort of one of the silver linings of the past year. And it's such a vibrant neighborhood. There's so much action going on. It's really, I think a benefit to our guests to now be able to observe the city, to be sort of in the streets literally as they're dining. We've got a cozy restaurant inside, but it's a whole different experience when you take it out onto First Avenue, eat with some sunset behind you, and enjoy Spanish food out on the street as they might in Spain.